Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, the Warriors season is officially over. What a fitting way to go out though, considering how the season started and finished. I decided not to do a video on Game 6. I just didn't think there was a whole lot to take from it. I thought the Lakers outplayed the Warriors from start to finish. By the time Game 6 rolled around for the Warriors, they just ran out of gas. That 7-game series in the first round was really tough. They played a really good team in Sacramento, and then they moved to the Lakers, and styles make fights, and the Lakers were a bad matchup for the Warriors. So it wasn't as disappointing, especially considering the Warriors won last year. They won an NBA title last year. This year, I think we all saw this coming. You are who you are, and we saw this in the regular season. So this video, I wanted to touch on the 2022-2023 season and what went wrong for the Warriors and what they can do moving forward to retool and get back in the mix as true title contenders, because I think we all saw Steph Curry has a lot to give. There were spurts where Klay Thompson was the old 2017-2018 Klay Thompson. Draymond obviously is still a fantastic defender and he has a lot to offer, but we are going to need some big pieces moving forward to give this Warriors team a chance to contend. And let's touch on though what happened this season, starting with preseason. So number one, obviously Draymond and Poole and their off-court issues in the preseason. Not going to go too much into it, but it set the tone for the season. And I think, early on, Draymond felt like he didn't have his voice in the locker room. He didn't have the ability to speak up and bark at other players because they were like, yo, Draymond, what are you talking about? Look what you did before. It took probably until midway to towards the end of the season where Draymond felt comfortable being Draymond. So, like I said, it set the tone for the season. And it was just a really bad way to kick it off. I think we all heard reports from other players like, hey, this happens. It sucks that the video got leaked, but this isn't that uncommon. I would probably say otherwise. I probably would say this is pretty uncommon as far as a person, a teammate laying out another teammate. It was a really bad way to kick off the season. And on top of it, we lost some key role players. Obviously, GP2 getting paid, going to Portland. Losing role players like Damian Lee, JTE, Otto, Belly going overseas again. Those are key players into the overall, fit of the Warriors. Great cultural fit, great guys in the locker room, minimal drama. They knew their role, they accepted their role. And we put a lot of pressure, a lot of onus on our young players to fill those roles, and they just weren't ready. Obviously, Wiseman didn't pan out either. I think the Warriors, in hindsight, probably look back and say, hey, we probably could have traded him sooner. We probably could have made roster moves sooner for Wiseman. Instead, they waited until the trade deadline. We got a hurt GP2 back, and we just didn't have the necessary pieces like we did last year, along with Coach Mike Brown, right? I forgot about Mike Brown. This preseason was probably one of the worst preseasons that we've seen in a while, and I think they got complacent. I think they were like, hey, we have these core guys, we have these vets, they're going to carry us. 82 games in a season is a lot of time, and we need backup. These guys are not 29, 30 years old anymore. They're going to need some help just to get through. All right, number two, the early season issues on the road. We dropped our first 8 games on the road to bad teams: Detroit, Charlotte, Utah. Just really big misses early on. And I think that, had a psychological effect on some of the guys. Like, what's going on? Why are we losing on the road when we're having such good success still at home? And it was just a mentality thing, especially for the young players. And we saw a lot of just bad mistakes, a lot of turnovers on the road, bad defensive play by everyone on the road. And it just compounded. Maybe potentially a little bit of a championship hangover as well. It's a long season. Some of these older guys, they do ramp themselves up as the season progresses, but we dug ourselves a pretty deep hole and we were consistently fighting to get wins. And so that translated into Ty Jerome, Anthony Lamb getting more minutes over guys like Kuminga and Moody early on, not getting that development that they so deserved. So it would pay off in the towards the end of the season, in the playoffs. And I understand where Kerr was coming from as far as We need the win, so I'm going to play the guys that I know aren't going to get rattled. I'm going to play the guys that I know are what I'm getting when I'm putting them out on the floor. But in the end, it bit us because Jonathan Kuminga, he played hardly any minutes in Sacramento. He played no meaningful minutes in the Lakers series. It was not the right time to be fighting for wins, and because of our early road woes, we had a lot more pressure to play those guys just to get wins and stay in the mix, so we weren't fighting to just make it to the play-in tournament, which, almost happened anyway. Number 3 is the injuries. Every season is different. Every championship run, requires some level of luck when it comes to injuries. Who is healthy and who is playing their best ball come May and June. The Warriors, Andrew Wiggins had a great start to the season, got hurt. Came back, got hurt. 2 months off for personal leave. Same thing with Steph Curry. Shoulder injury, lower extremity injury. Both of those guys only played about 70% of the season, 60% of the season. And again, it put a lot more pressure on guys like Clay, Poole, Dre to ramp up their intensity mid-season to get these wins. And so injuries, they're a part of the game, unfortunately, but the Warriors used a little bit too much of their quote-unquote gas tank this season because of injuries. And obviously it showed going into Sacramento, going into the Lakers series. We ran out of gas. And it was just an unfortunate part. Like I said, any championship run starts with a good amount of luck when it comes to guys being healthy and playing good ball. And we just didn't have that this year. So that's something that we'll just take. We'll see next year. Hopefully it's not the same. Number 4, no trades outside of GP2 during the trading period this season. There's a lot of speculation of who are guys on the market that we can add to the roster, even if it's just for regular season minutes, potential playoff minutes, ease some load off of Draymond and Looney. Obviously a huge storyline this season was we have no depth at our center or power forward position. And these guys, Draymond and Looney, while they're specialists in certain areas, we would have heavily benefited from a guy like Wiseman who can stretch the floor, right? He can play big, grab rebounds, stretch the floor, take some minutes from Loon and Dre just to keep them, healthy. And we never got one of those, right? We didn't get anything. We got GP2, who was hurt for the past, month and a half or so of the regular season. So I think, unfortunately, the front office thought we did it last year, we can do it again, and it didn't work. I think a lot of us would have wished we got a little bit more athletic, more defense, just to surround guys like Poole and Steph and Clay, who are, obviously not the best defenders, but we need guys who can be point of attack defenders. Wiggins being out for as much as he did, that to me was one of the biggest pieces. He's our best wing defender, but I think we could have gotten guys like a Jared Vanderbilt, or I can't remember who else was out there on the market. But the Lakers, they imported 5 guys who all played rotation minutes for the Lakers in both the first and second round. We could have snagged 1 or 2 of those guys. I think it would have made a huge difference. Come towards the end of the Sacramento series, where our lineup was already trimmed to 7 guys. That's Boston NBA final status. This is the first round. What are we doing here? We need guys to be able to play 8, 9, 10 deep in the roster early on to eliminate some of the minutes that, Clay and Steph and Dre and whoever else need to pick up, just because we don't have the necessary bodies to put out there on the floor and to produce, right? That's where guys like Otto, Belly, JTA, Damian Lee, they were great. They gave us decent minutes here and there, spurts. And it was just a bad overall preseason as well as trade deadline. All right, and my number 5 here is Lakers were just a bad matchup. Sacramento played a really similar style of basketball as we did, up and down the court, fast pace, a lot of movement, shooting, and LA was the exact opposite. They want to play in the half court. They want to get to the free throw line. They want to slow things down. A lot of big, just big, long defenders in general. Obviously, Anthony Davis, number 1 or number 2, is the best defender in the world. He was incredible. I think, styles make fights, and overall, the Lakers were just a really tough matchup. Also, giving away Game 1 and Game 4, those were, to me, the pivotal points. Obviously, Game 4 was, Warriors went down 3-1. you can hope and you can think, hey, there's a chance that we have here, but the stats show that the likelihood of Warriors getting out of that series after being down 3-1 was very unlikely. To me, game 4 was the biggest one. We were up, we had a chance to close it out, and we just couldn't execute down the stretch. The one thing that I did notice in the game 4 and game 6 is LeBron. I mean, he saved his energy, his gas tank, games 1 through 3. I mean, there was moments where he would, go on a little bit of a run, but you could tell he was dogging it a little bit. And then he'd empty the clip in game 6. He smelled blood in the water. We didn't have anything. Steph had no legs. Klay had no legs. And that's another thing, I'll touch on this in probably another video with Klay Thompson. What can he offer to this team? Because now you can go back and look. Yes, he played a lot of minutes in the regular season. He didn't miss a lot of time. So maybe, it caught up to him. But Klay Thompson on 1 day's rest for 3 weeks straight, I don't think he'll ever have it again. I truly don't. I think he needs the time off or less minutes so he can be effective in those later playoff runs. Overall, the Warriors were sort of a one-trick pony in this series. When it wasn't going our way, we got blown out. Game 2, we had our shot falling, and game 5, it was back against the wall. Those were easy predictions that Warriors were going to win. But game 1, we were controlling the tempo until the end. Same with game 4. Same thing happened all season. It was predictable, and it was unfortunate to see because I did think we had a chance. Now, I don't even know if we would have been able to make a dent in against the Nuggets. We'll see there. I'm excited for that Lakers-Nuggets round. This would have been the toughest road to the finals in general. Sacramento, great team. Lakers, great team. Denver, great team. It would have been a miracle just to get to the NBA finals. And Steve Kerr said it, Draymond said it after the series was over. This wasn't a championship contending team. It was masked a lot by Steph Curry's greatness. And it was, I love Steph Curry. I think he is undoubtedly a top 5 player in NBA history from what he brings to the table, his impact in the league in general, how he's changed the game with his shooting. It's always fun to watch as much Steph Curry, but it was a little tough to see him in game 6, clearly out of gas. And I think these guys were ready. I think these guys were ready to pack it in. So we'll see what happens in the offseason. I have some video ideas of what the Warriors need to do moving forward, looking into the 2023-2024 season, how we can get back as a title contender. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, they all have a lot to offer. So we'll see. I hope we have a much better preseason. That bar is pretty low. There's a lot that needs to be changed, and I'm excited. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What was the worst part of the season, or what was the crucial mistakes the Warriors made that didn't allow us just to get over the hump and be a true title contender? All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.